To another episode of The Breakdown. My name is Eugene Osei-Tutu. Today we are going to the cocoa sector. In 1947, the Cocoa Marketing Board was established, and subsequently in 1957, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah will lay the foundation for the construction of the cocoa house. And you know, cocoa plays a very key role when it comes to Ghana and its economy. Now, why was the Cocoa Board established? Let me quickly tell you why the Cocoa Board was established, just to set the preamble for today's discussion on the breakdown. When you read the speech of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, when the foundation was laid for the cocoa house to be built, he simply put it that the core mission of Cocoa Board was 1, protect farmers, 2, stabilize the cocoa economy and control quality for the world market. So basically, protect farmers, stabilize the sector, and also ensure that you produce quality cocoa beans for the world market. That was why Cocoa Board was established. Now, these are cocoa beans. For those who don't know, basically, these are cocoa beans that they've been broken from the pot, they've been dried, and they are bagged, and these are some that you see on our screen. Now, yesterday, the big news came in where the Finance Minister, Dr. Cassius Ato-Forson, announced that government has reduced the price of a 64 kg cocoa bag from 3,625 cedis to 2,587 Ghana cedis for the remainder of the 2025-2026. That's a decrease of about 1,000 Ghana cedis for the cocoa farmer. Now, there's been a lot of talkability and conversation about this. Let's go on. This has been Ghana's showpiece when it comes to cocoa production in the last 15 to 16 years. So, for example, in 2011, we did about 879,000 metric tons. The last time we did quite well, 2016-2017, we did some 969,500 metric tons. Then in 2020, we did 1 million. So when you look at it, from 2021, our production has just been hovering around 600,000. We've not been able to even cross the 700,000 mark. We are yet to record the 2025-2026 season to know the numbers. But in 2021, for example, as I said, we did 1 million. In 2022, that's the 2021-2022 period, we did 683,000 metric tons. Then in 2022-2023, we did 655,000 tons. In 2023-2024, we did 530,000 tons. Now, this is where the issue started. If you remember, in 2023, Ghana was not able to get the full amount of the syndicated, or there were a lot of delays. The cocoa sector was pressured and everything because we couldn't meet the lot of demand. Now, how does Cocoa Board run? For you to understand this better, we do what they call the forward sale. So the forward sale basically means that selling my product to you today to deliver in the future at an agreed price. So what does it mean? Basically, I'm selling cocoa today to you, though I'm not giving you the cocoa actually, but I'll promise you that, oh, I can deliver 600,000 metric tons of cocoa, so give me 10 Ghana cedis. So we agreed the price today, I agreed to sell it to you today, but I will deliver the cocoa beans in future. That's basically what Cocoa Board does. Now, also along the presentation, I'll tell you something they call the FOB price. It basically means the production and the buying of the cocoa beans, the transportation of the beans to the port, the loading of the beans onto the ship. That is the amount Cocoa Board charges. When the ship takes off, that becomes the responsibility of the buyer. So when you look at it, you can clearly see why our cocoa is not going up. Galamsey has been one of the reasons attributed to it. Diseases, issues, so cocoa pod issues, and the black pot issues and all that. So these are some of the things that is accounting for our reduction in cocoa production. Now let's go on. When it comes to the world price, the government is arguing that when you go to the world price, cocoa has fallen, and therefore they also need to review the prices downwards so that they will be able to effectively pay the cocoa farmers. How true is that? Now let's go to the data. What does the data say? It says that when it comes to the cocoa sector, let me read for you. Cocoa prices extended their downward trend in trade near $3,700 per ton, the lowest level since October 2023. So the current cocoa price we have, that is the lowest in the last almost 2 years or getting to 3 years. Now this is the trend. So when you come to the screen, don't let the chart scare you basically. So this is how it looks. So you can see that the prices have been coming down to the current figure of some $3,700 per ton. So that is the chart indicating the downward trend that we've seen when it comes to the world price of cocoa. Now what this tells us is that we must also hasten slowly to be able to, or when we are jubilating, when world prices of some of these commodities go, especially when we do not have the control mechanism to keep it at that level for a long time. At a point, it was selling at $8,000 per metric ton, but today it's just 3,700. So it tells you about the fluctuation of these prices on the world market. And government is saying that this is one of the reasons why they are reducing the 64 kg bag of cocoa from 3,625 Ghana cedis to 2,587 cedis. Another reason they talk about is the indebtedness of Cocoa Board. The Cocoa Board is highly indebted, and therefore they are not able to keep the price for the remainder of the 2025-2026 cocoa season. Now let's go to some of the prices that we've recorded. In 2020-2021, averagely they were paid 660 cedis for a bag. In 2022-2023, they were paid averagely of 800 Ghana cedis. In 2023-2024, they were paid an average of 2,070 Ghana cedis. In 2024-2025, averagely 3,100. In 2025-2026, the first price that came was 3,228. Then they went to 3,625. Then now 2,587. But let me explain here. You know that Cocoa Board bought some cocoa from some farmers and they were not able to give them money, but they give them receipt indicating that they bought the cocoa and they give them the price. Government is saying that for those categories of cocoa farmers who Cocoa Board bought their cocoa beans but were not able to pay them, they will pay the 3,625. The second category is that for the cocoa farmers who were yet to give their cocoa to the purchasing agent, you will be paid 2,587. Do you get it? Again, for the cocoa farmers who already have sold their beans to Cocoa Board but didn't get payment, they will be paid 3,625 because as at that time they bought the cocoa beans, this was the price. But for those who are yet to submit their cocoa to the various marketing agencies or the buying clerks and all that, they'll get 2,587. But for me, when you listen to Dr. Atuforsen talking about the debt, the mismanagement and everything, I was also expecting to hear, for example, the slash in the conditions of service and salaries of the senior managers of Cocoa Board. Because let's not forget, just barely 3 weeks ago, Cocoa Board came out to say that indeed it's true, they bought cars, but the cars are for operations. What operations are they doing? Because when you look at it, because if you are doing operations, you are supposed to see the dividend here in production, because everything you are supposed to do is supposed to reflect in the production and the volumes of cocoa that you are churning out. So yes, I agree, the world price has come down. But anytime Cocoa Board was giving the farmers the 65, the 70% of the FOB price, they were supposed to keep the 30% to cushion farmers. What happened to that 30%? For me, that is the bigger question we need to be asking. What happened to the margins, the windfalls that Cocoa Board was supposed to save and cushion? Basically, you are supposed to take a certain percentage of my beans, the price you sold my beans for, keep it. Austerity. Protect the farmers, as Nkrumah indicated in the 1950s. So how are we protecting the farmers? What happened to those monies? The mismanagement that have been recorded in Cocoa Board over the years, how has that reflected in the conditions of service of senior managers of Cocoa Board? Because they are still buying cars and claiming it's for operational use, even in terms of austerity. It clearly tells you that something is wrong. And for me, beyond this decision, that will certainly impact a farmer. Imagine something you made some approximation that you get 1,000 Ghana cedis on a certain sale. Today you don't have the 1,000 cedis; it's gone through no fault of yours. Yes, the world price have come down. I agree, but the windfall that Cocoa Board was enjoying when the world price was high, it was supposed to cushion farmers at the end of the day, because the mandate of Cocoa Board is to protect farmers, stabilize the cocoa sector. The cocoa sector today we have cannot by any measure of the definition of stability be adduced to that testimony or evidence of the meaning of stability. It is not stable. Farmers have not been protected. They are naked and they are suffering. And for me, the government of the day must also ensure that the senior managers of Cocoa Board also understand that they are in times of austerity and they cannot buy cars. They cannot keep earning the salaries they earn. They cannot keep having the conditions of service that they enjoy. It is careless management, and their careless management cannot be borne by the poor cocoa farmer. And that is the submission today I have for you on the breakdown. My name is Eugene Osetutu. On Monday, Leo come on the radio breakdown. Thank you.